Good morning, everybody. I am excited to be here, and I am hopeful that I will see you here. I will try and remind you of this, but if you happen to jump into this live session, whether you're tuning in from one of our social media platforms or something else completely, I just want to say welcome. I'm so excited for you to be here today. So we have an exciting, power packed 25 minutes that we are going to jump right into. And the goal for this session today is to talk about unlocking benefits sales success, particularly around lead generation and prospect engagement. These are the two challenges that sales professionals, business owners face probably more than anything. I don't think there's anything that is more challenging for a business owner or a sales professional trying to generate revenue than opening doors and keeping those prospects engaged until the right time to buy. So, hopefully that's why you're here. Hopefully that's why you're checking this out. But again, that's what we're going to be talking about today is unlocking benefits sales success. Again, this is for you employee benefits advisors, agency owners, solutions providers, partners, vendors, whatever you want to call yourself. If you have sales responsibility in the employee benefits industry, this is for you. This is actually relevant to any entrepreneur, any sales professional, but specifically, we're talking today with our two benefits sales professionals. So we are off on the ride. By the way, I should say, if you are here for the first time, you're listening to me for the first time, my name is Ryan James Miller. I'm a performance coach. I've been at this for more than a decade and deeply invested into sales for more than 25 years. That's crazy for me to be able to say that, but that is in fact the truth. Anyway, let's dive in. So I want to talk specifically from four areas. I think about four areas here that I want to talk to you about. So the first one is going to be understanding target market. I do want to dig into that because I think that's incredibly important. Too often we try to start selling before we truly understand who we're selling to. So we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about how to get leads, actually how to generate leads for yourself. This is the same strategies that we apply in our business, and I coach and teach every other one of my clients on same strategies. You're going to get those here, abbreviated, but you're going to get those here. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about how to build a narrative around your product or service. How do you tell that story? And then finally, we're going to talk about prospect outreach and engagement. That's super exciting. I've got a methodology there that I share very often in public domain, as well as, again, with all of my clients. And so I want to be able to share a bit of that with you today. And then we'll close down and just recap. So, all right, here we go. About 20 more minutes left. And I want to dig right in. So let's first start with talking about understanding our target market. This is when a lot of people check out. They're like, just tell me how to do it. Just tell me how to go get the client. Just tell me how to go get the prospect. Just tell me how to generate the lead. And I'm like, how do you know who to reach out to if you don't know who you're reaching out to? Like your methods of outreach, your messaging in outreach is going to be very, very different depending upon who you're talking to. If you're talking to a CFO, your messaging is going to be different than somebody in HR. If you're talking to a broker versus an employer, your messaging is going to be very different. If you are talking to a man versus a woman, there's going to be some differences in your communication. If you're talking to a 25-year-old versus a 55-year-old, there's going to be differences in your communication. If you are talking to somebody that loves the Texas Rangers who just won the World Series, or somebody that loves the Arizona Diamondbacks, you're probably going to be talking about something different. So you have to be considerate of who you're trying to reach out to. But more importantly, maybe even than the messaging around who you're reaching out to is why are you reaching out to them? And how do you, if you expect them to engage, your offer needs to be incredible, but you need to get them to resonate with you. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so you want to make sure that you are targeting prospective clients that are as similar to you as an individual human being as possible. That is going to increase the likelihood of your engagement and conversion significantly. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to just share specifically. Some of these I'm going to breeze through. Some of them I'm going to speak to a little bit more specifically because they're extremely important. So when I think about our target market, when I think about an ideal client, when I'm encouraging my clients to build their ideal client profiles, their avatars, here are some of the things that we must consider. Number one, firmographic information. This is the size of the organization. This is the industry that they're in. This is the location. This is how much revenue they produce. These are the things that we would consider firmographic. This has to do with the organization. Okay. So you do need to be considerate of those. Most people have some sort of idea. I still do hear people say, my client is anybody because everybody can buy our service. That is not true. But I'm not going to belabor that point this morning. But firmographic information. So information, basic information about the firms, the types of firms that you're trying to work with. Then we want to consider demographic information. So this has far more to do with the individual buyer that you are trying to attract and engage, right? So what is their role? What is their gender? What is their age? What is their level of education? These things are basic demographic characteristics that you should shape and define before you start pursuing anybody. Okay. Thirdly, psychographic information. This is how people think, act, behave, operate. This is a term that is getting thrown around a lot more, this idea of psychographics, but I fear that it is I fear that when people are talking about psychographics, they don't even understand what it really means. And so I'm just going to briefly touch on a few key areas. So beyond just how they think, act, believe, I'll say this. So you want to consider what they're interested in. Are they interested in sports, art, music? Do they have a heart for charity and community? What are their interests? Do they like to travel? Are they a history buff? These things are extremely important to figure out. The more you know, the better off you're going to be in engaging them. What are their values? Do they have core key values that are non-negotiable to them? These things are extremely important to consider. Values and beliefs. Motivations. What are they motivated by? Why are they in the role that they're in? What are they trying to accomplish for their organization and for them as an individual, for their life, for their family? What does it mean to them to accomplish those things? Aspirations. Again, what do they aspire to do? Who do they aspire to be? And finally, how do they spend their free time? And that may be answered in some of those other things around interest and some other stuff, but you should understand how they spend their free time. Because again, the more you understand and know, the better off you're going to be in being able to connect with and reach them, especially when what you enjoy to do in your free time is what they enjoy to do in theirs. Beyond those other things that we want to consider when we're building out our ideal client profile, when we're trying to understand our target market, what are their goals and challenges? What are their buying behaviors? What are their what are their communication preferences? What are their objections and concerns around what you're trying to offer? And what are the current solutions and the competitors your competitors that they're dealing with to receive those solutions? You should know all of that stuff. And unless you're selling $14.99 iPhone cases, which you're not, you're in a highly, a very expensive industry, a very, an industry where people are making 6, 7, 8, 9-figure business decisions with you. You want to get as specific and particular as you can with all of those psychographic characteristics and define them as well as you possibly can. So I would encourage you here. Just one quick action item is in those categories. I would encourage you to identify the one that is the most ill-defined, the one that you have the most little have put the most little effort or thought into, and I want you to spend the most time there. I would venture to say it's probably psychographic information because that's what it's like for most people. Um, if you're interested in learning more about this, we actually have created an incredible tool for our clients that they provide some information to us, and we actually create for them a in-depth, very well detailed ideal client profile. And so if you'd like to learn more about how we can do that for you and your organization, please feel free to reach out and I'd be more than happy to help. You can email Ryan at ryanjamesmiller.com, or you can find me on one of the social platforms that you're watching this on. Okay, let's move on. We got three more things to talk about. And as always, we're running out of time. Okay, how to get leads. How are you getting leads? Do you actually have a formal process? Do you actually know what your best avenues for lead generation are? Most people don't. Most people haven't thought about that. Most people haven't considered what their best opportunity for lead gen is and really spent time developing that out. But I want to just share with you four ways that you can generate leads. There's four primary ways that you can generate leads, and here you go. The number one is warm outreach. It's crazy to me when I think about the fact that people struggling to generate leads have not tapped into their own network. I don't understand it. You have friends, you have family, they all work for organizations, meaning they all either take benefits or are offered benefits even if they don't take them. Why why aren't you talking to them more about connecting you with decision makers in their organization? There are a lot of reasons why, but that's just a rhetorical question. You need to be doing that. So that's one. Those are warm opportunities for lead generation. Two, cold outreach. Ooh, this is a scary one. Most people don't like to do cold outreach, but the truth of the matter is, I don't think you'll ever graduate from it. And when you think that you have graduated from it, you've just gone stale and you've plateaued and you're happy with where you are in your career. And if that's you, that's fine as long as you're being honest with yourself that you are happy with where you are. But if you're discontent, it's time to start doing some more cold outreach. That's emails, that's DMs on social media, that's phone calls. They are all incredibly effective outreach methods if you know what to say and how to say it and doing it in a consistent way, which we're going to talk about in one of our future segments here. So just bear with me there. Third, posting to social media. Posting content to social media can be an incredible way for you to generate leads. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. For all of you benefits brokers that are going to listen to this, your clients are probably not running in the circles that you have created on LinkedIn. I'm not saying they're not there on LinkedIn. I'm just saying they're not running in the circles that you've created. When you put your megaphone up to your face on LinkedIn and you post and you shout from the rooftops something about a personal story or anecdote, or you share some educational tip, the only people that are reading it are your friends, your colleagues, your peers. And that may feel good, but that's not helping you at all. You need to go to where your ideal client is. But again, you got to know who your ideal client is in order to get there. Okay, so that's one. For the solutions providers, the partners, the brokers are on social. They're on LinkedIn. So, man, you should be leveraging that over and over again. The problem is you typically don't have a great strategy. You're not consistent. You're not communicating good messaging. That's why you're struggling to reach the right brokers. Okay, so that's posting content. And lastly is paid ads. This is a really good strategy if you have a really good strategy. If you know who you're trying to engage with, you know what to say, and you have a great offer. Not that you have an incredible solution that everybody needs to buy, but you have a great offer that compels people to want to engage, then paid ads can be a wonderful, wonderful avenue for you. But you have to be extremely careful because it's easy to blow a lot of money on stuff that doesn't work because you don't have a good strategy behind it. And you will get a lot of people that have convinced you to just pay them money to run ads for you. That is such a mistake if you don't have those other things dialed in first. Okay. Finally, I'm just going to say this. This is not one of those 4 lead gen opportunities, but I would just say this: ask for leads. No matter where you are, when you are, who you're with, ask for opportunities. Ask for introductions to other people that you could potentially do business with, that you could expand your network with and ultimately do business with. Ask, ask, ask. So, quick action item here as it relates to getting leads. I would encourage you to look at all 4 of those areas: warm outreach, cold outreach, posting to social, and paid ads. I would circle the one that you want to get better at. And then I want you to consider what's one thing you can do to improve in that area. For some of you, it's just going to be doing it. For others, you need to learn how to do it. But what is the one area that you want to get better in, and what's one thing that you can do to get better? And if you say, I don't know, then my encouragement to you would be to reach out to me. You can book a call. We can talk a little bit more and have a 30-minute strategy session around how you can expand one of those areas and improve one of those areas and ultimately generate some money from one of those areas. Okay. Thirdly, this one's going to be very, very brief, but when I'm talking about lead gen, when I'm talking about creating opportunities for yourself, when I'm talking about unlocking benefit sales success, I can't not talk about the power of storytelling. I cannot tell you how many clients I have engaged with that have an incredible product or service that have that are great people and tell terrible stories. And what I mean by that is they're not out there telling bad stories. It's they're trying to tell their story and they're telling it so poorly because they haven't taken the time to craft the story. You know, when I wrote my book, Wounds, which it's right here up on the screen, right there. Um, Many people don't know that I wrote 5 chapters of another book before I started writing Wounds. And the 5 chapters of that book was going to be a book on my coaching philosophy, my approach to achieving the success that you desire, how to do that for yourself. Um, but I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't write that book until I write the book that actually has gotten me to connect deeply with people. And that's my story. And so that's why I chose to write Wounds, or one of the reasons I chose to write Wounds is because I wanted people to connect with my story because that's who I am, or that's part of who I am. And so the same thing has got to apply to you. Who are you? And what do you want people to know about you? About your past, about your passions, about how you got into the industry, about why you do what you do, how you do what you do. You have to learn to tell powerful and compelling stories about the work you're doing, or you're going to bore the crap out of people. You might as well just set a robot off on a mission to speed dial and hope that somebody says yes. And we all know that's not going to work, especially for those of you that have hired appointment setters and it's failed you, because that just doesn't work. We're far more relational. Business, selling is far more human than it's ever been. So please, 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 I encourage you to learn to tell a story. One of the greatest stories that you can tell, and this is going to be the quick action item that I'm going to give you here. One of the greatest stories you can tell is a client success story. Now, again, we've been at this a long time. And so we have created some incredible tools to help people craft exceptional case studies and testimonials. that then they can go out and talk about. But here's a simple formula for you. I don't even know why I'm giving this away because I usually charge people to tell people stuff like this. But if you're going to watch this, if you're listening, you're going to benefit from this. When it comes to case studies, people try to get way too complex. Here's a simple formula for an incredible case study. This is the organization, the profile of the organization and the individual that I sought to do business with. Here is the problem that they communicated when we first engaged. Here's the solution that I provided to them. Here is the way we went about implementing that solution, and here are the outcomes that we've provided for them. And oh, as a bonus, here is something that the client has said about the work that we've done for them. That formula will produce the most incredible case studies and testimonials that then you can go tell stories about in the marketplace. That's a great story to tell. Again, origin stories are also wonderful. Powerful stories of overcoming that have led you to an awakening moment that have caused you to dive deeper into what you're doing can be great too. Okay, finally, last 5 or so minutes, I want to talk about prospect outreach. So I talked about lead gen, how to get leads, right? Warm leads, cold leads, posting to social. But what happens when you have a list of leads, which by the way, you should have a list of leads. You should not just be working from some random hat that you just draw names out of and call that day, which is actually how most of you operate. You don't actually pull them out of a hat. You just have this massive list and you just randomly call people. Um, What I'm going to say first about prospect outreach, though, is this before I even get to the method. I should have said this first, but now I'm going to pause and say this. Quitters never prevail. Quitters never prevail. Most of you are quitters when it comes to prospect outreach. And you may be extremely offended when I say that to you, but that's the reality of the matter because you make 1 or 2 attempts at a prospect and then you give up and move on to the next prospect. You have quit before you've actually set yourself up to be successful. In order to be successful, you need to follow a formula. That formula has to be clear, it has to be creative, it has to be convincing, and it has to be valuable. Clear, creative, convincing, and valuable. What does that mean though? Okay, let me break this down for you. So we have this process, we've developed this process called the 21-day prospect pursuit. It's a framework for outreach. You've probably seen it somewhere before because we talk about it a lot. It's one of the most powerful tools we've created for our clients in sales and business ownership and leadership. But the 21-day prospect pursuit is a cadence that we have created that causes you to engage with a prospect 7 times in 21 days. And I'm not going to get into all the methodology or reasoning behind that. That's just the way that it is. It's the formula that's worked. We've been doing this now for the better part of about 8 years. And in the 8 years, we've only honed it to get better and we've only seen better results from our clients. But I just want to talk about those 4 things that I talked about: clear, creative, convincing, and valuable. If you're going to follow a process, first of all, you need to be clear. You need to be clear about who you are and what you want. You need to be clear about who you are and what you want. Too often you're playing the nonchalant sales game. And I'm going to get into this again in a minute, but you play the nonchalant sales game. You're kind of vague. You just want to kind of trick them or coax them into a meeting with you without being too pushy. Yo, show up and tell them who you are and what you're all about. Be clear. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. And this is what I hope to gain from a conversation with you. 2, be creative. Be creative. I'm actually going to share this clip on social if I can find it because I think it's super powerful in a really cool way. But there was a movie many years ago called Hitch that starred Will Smith and Eva Longoria. And Hitch, who's played by Will Smith, he's trying to get a date with Eva Longoria. And he ends up sending a courier to her office and he hands her this walkie-talkie, and she talks into the walkie-talkie, and Will Smith's on the other end of the line. And he's like, "All right, where do you want to go on this date, or when do you want to go on this date?" And she chooses her day, and the courier pulls out a box that's specific to that date. And she opens it up. It happens to be a wetsuit. They're going to go jet skiing in the harbor. But I think she even says in there, like, what happens if I would have given the other date? There would have been another box. He had two separate boxes. It was like a choose your own adventure. But that's creative. He really wanted, yes, it's a movie, but he really wanted a date with her. And I think I'm going to share that clip because I think it's really cool, just to see about getting creative. Um, in sales, we need to get more creative. We need to send good handwritten notes. We need to send gifts. We need to send, uh, send a carrier pigeon. If you can hire one, if you can find one, and the prospect's worth it to you, send a dang carrier pigeon. So powerful. We used to, when Postmates was first available, this is now probably 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was around then. Maybe longer than that. Anyway, when Postmates was first available, we used to Postmates coffee to prospects, actual coffee. Gift cards were starting to be a big thing, but we're like, we're going to go one step further. We're going to send them a cup of coffee. Now, you ran the gamble of them not liking the type of coffee, blah, 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 blah. But it was just a creative, like, oh my gosh, a coffee came to me. If you can find out what type of coffee they like before you even send it, that's even better. So get creative, gifts, notes, things like that. I love stuff going in the mail. I love hard pieces of real, tangible pieces of material. I think that goes a long way that email and even phone calls can't sometimes. 3, be convincing. So I said clear, creative, now convincing. Don't treat these prospect calls as throwaways. I touched on this earlier, but for the love of all things good, please stop pretending like you don't care about whether or not they pick up the phone or engage with you or set an appointment. I was on a call not too long ago with one of my clients, and he was talking like he didn't care. Like, hey, if you want to meet with me, great. If not, I totally understand. It's like, what? Why did you even waste time picking up the phone to call that person? No, be absolutely convincing. I want to talk to you because I believe that we are the best, and I believe I can help you get to where you want to go. I believe I can help you realize your dreams. Tell them, convince them. Don't quit on it. Make sure they understand just how passionate you are about serving them in the manner that you believe is going to produce the outcomes that they need and that you desire to produce for them. So be convincing. And finally, be valuable. Be valuable. One simple question I want you to think about when you reach out to a prospective client: why would they want to respond? And if your answer is because we have a great product or service, you have another thing coming. You have to think about what's valuable to them. Why should they bother? Too many of you have created sales processes, and then your sales processes, once you engage with the prospect, to go from first appointment through to closed sale. Some of you have designed your sales processes that just continue to dangle a carrot in front of the prospect in hopes that they'll stay on. They'll keep chasing it until you get to the finish line, and then you're like, and if you sign on the dotted line, if you sign the broker of record, if you sign this contract agreement, then I will show you what we're made of. Then I will give you the good stuff. Give them the good stuff up front and then execute it after they sign on the dotted line. Okay. There are plenty of tools out there to help you to be more clear, to be more creative, to be more convincing, to be more valuable. There are plenty of tools out there for prospect outreach and engagement. But if you want our 21-day prospect pursuit and you don't have it yet, email Ryan at ryanjamesmiller.com, DM me on social, and I would be more than happy to send a copy to you, no obligation. If you want to set up a strategy call around how to customize that specifically to you, I'd be more than happy to do that. We can talk about what that would look like. That would be at least about a 90-minute session to work through that, but that's very, very powerful. We can create some custom cadences for you as well. So that's the activity. That's the action there around process is find a process. If you need one, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to give you one. So today, in this session specifically, I've talked about understanding your target audience, different methods for lead generation, effective storytelling, and then strategies for prospect outreach and engagement. I believe that these are key components to your success as sales professionals, as business and agency owners, but you have to take action. If you find yourself on webinars like this, if you find yourself listening to the same thing over and over again and not seeing a different result, I'm going to suggest to you that you need some outside support, that you need to work with somebody that can help you take that across the finish line. I'm absolutely convinced that I can help you in every single one of these areas, but that's for you to decide. If you've been following me for a period of time and you like what I say, you like who I am, you like the things that I value, again, back to that psychographic information. If you like that type of stuff and resonate with me and you want to accomplish some of these things, you want to improve some of these things, please reach out. I would love to set up a strategy session with you and talk about whether or not we can make sense of working together in one-on-one or in our sales community collaboration. That is actually an extremely powerful way. The majority of our sales collab calls, which are bi-weekly through the end of 23 and will become weekly moving into 24, the majority of those are on lead gen and prospect engagement, because that's what our couple dozen members of that community continue to struggle with, because we all continue to struggle with it. With that said, thank you guys so much for joining for this session of Unlocking Benefit Sales Success. I hope it's been valuable to you. If you need anything at all, please, please, please reach out to me, Ryan at ryanjamesmiller.com, or DM me on your favorite social platform. I would love to get into conversation with you and see how I can help you crush your sales goals for 2024 and beyond. Peace.